Joining us now on the Sunrise Morning Show is Stephen Howard from In Defense of Christians. Stephen, welcome back.
Good morning, Andy. Good to be with you again.
It is good to have you. And In Defense of Christians is going to be hosting a panel discussion on Turkey with various experts and members of Congress. Can you give us the details?
Absolutely. This Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern, we will be hosting a press briefing that's open for any member of the public, entitled "The U.S. Must Address National Security Concerns and Human Rights Violations in Turkey." We're really excited about the event. We have a panel of experts, as well as currently we'll have Congressman Gus Bilirakis, Senator Tom Tillis, and Senator James Langford, amongst others, who will be speaking at the event.
Well, can you remind us of why IDC is particularly concerned about Turkey these days?
Absolutely. In the Middle East, the government of Turkey has shown unique hostility toward Christians, not only within Turkish borders, but throughout the region. Within Turkey, we saw in 2020 that the Turkish government converted two historic Christian churches, the Hagia Sophia and the Kora Church, into mosques, which was, of course, entirely unnecessary. These churches were each over 1,500 years old, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and Christians are only really 0.2% of Turkey's population after the genocide that was committed against Christians a century ago, that Turkey actually still fails to recognize, for that matter. So what we kind of saw was, while the Christian population of Turkey has disappeared dramatically over the last century, whether it be due to genocide or having to flee the country, that the current government has taken it to task to begin erasing cultural heritage sites. And life for Christians within Turkey is still very complex as well. We've done advocacy for Father Aho Galician, who is a Syriac Orthodox monk in southeastern Turkey, and he's actually being charged by the government for terrorism just because a stranger appeared at his monastery door asking for bread and water. And that's just domestically. But even if you look at Turkish foreign policy, it's remarkably hostile toward Christians. We see Turkey violating ceasefire agreements in northeastern Syria, endangering a Christian community that fled to northeastern Syria, escaping the Ottoman genocide. Again, we see Turkey continuing to bombard its opponent communities in Iraq. They believe the PKK is in Iraq, and they're bombarding areas of Iraq that have large Yazidi populations, preventing them from returning. And we, of course, saw what happened in the war with Azerbaijan, where Turkey aided Azerbaijan in attacking a Christian community dating back to the first century. So this is very unique. This is a unique situation where we have a country, a government, supporting Christian persecution across the board throughout the region. And so it's a huge priority for us in combating this type of state-sponsored Christian persecution.
Well, I want to ask specifically about the members of Congress who are going to be part of this panel discussion on Friday, because they have some power to try to get something done in this regard. How has IDC been working with Congress to address this Turkey problem?
They're very crucial partners in this struggle, and we're very fortunate in that on a wide bipartisan basis, Congress has recognized this threat. We, of course, were able to see that at the end of 2020, Congress was able to really push the administration actually to apply Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act, or CAATSA sanctions, against Turkey for purchasing the Russian S-400 missile system, which is a violation of its obligation as a member of NATO. We've also seen, specifically on the subject of human rights, that the majority of U.S. senators sent a letter to President Biden expressing their concern about human rights in Turkey. We've also seen that over 100 House members have done so as well. And so the reason why we're focusing on national security concerns and human rights violations in Turkey is because they're interconnected. Mm-hmm. And for that matter, when you look at the human rights issue, the plight of Christians is especially unique. And so we're building on a lot of momentum. We've informed many of these offices about what's going on in Turkey, and we're doing everything we can to advise, to draft, and to author legislation, really calling this government out for its its complete intolerance and bigotry.
Stephen, can you also explain why it's important to recognize the Armenian genocide from more than 100 years ago?
When it comes to Turkey, this is really the original sin. And they've continued to deny this genocide and to sponsor a campaign of genocide denial, for a century. But the reality is, look, it was the model for the Holocaust. Over 3 million Christians were killed. Several hundreds of thousands of others were forced to exile. And for decades, Turkey really put a choke on the U.S. even recognizing. And no American president since Ronald Reagan has recognized the Armenian genocide. Fortunately, Congress did in 2019. But as we're approaching the commemoration of the event next month, we are working hard to ensure that President Biden does so. It was a promise he had made during the campaign, and Senator Bob Menendez is actually leading a letter of Senate colleagues encouraging him to live up to that promise. And so we're right there in support of that effort. We're eagerly awaiting to see him follow through on his pledge.
We've been talking to Stephen Howard from In Defense of Christians. And Stephen, if listeners are interested in viewing this panel discussion, remind us of the details and where listeners can tune in for it.
Absolutely. So, again, titled U.S. Must Address National Security Concerns and Human Rights Violations in Turkey will be broadcasting at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Folks can register for the event on Zoom by visiting indefenseofchristians.org, and they're also welcome to watch it on Facebook Live.
Awesome. Well, you can find In Defense of Christians linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. Stephen Howard, thank you so much.